So I'll start with Sir Salman Javed, since he has been in Pakistan and he's started it very early on. So I would like to start with him, his take on the tourism and the current situation. So Mr. Salman. It's on, sir. देखिए आ रहे सर बोले आ रहा बोले.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and good afternoon to all the distinguished delegates. In fact, I am very proud to share stage with such luminaries. This morning I learnt a lot from Dr. Rahman, Brother Amin, and all others, and Madam Nazari from their presentations. And this has provided us, the students of tourism marketing and medical tourism marketing, a very good forum to learn how to improve the inbound and outbound both tourism in medical sector into Pakistan, and also giving us food for thought how to export our tourism through telemedicine links. I just recollected that there's a very interesting debate going on in our Supreme Court on a certain constitutional amendment. And yesterday, a very leading lawyer who was asked to participate in the debate at a later stage said that he endorses all what has been said by his predecessors. So since everybody has covered all the points, I would not just suffice saying that I endorse all of them, but I would like to, just because time is short, today is also Friday, that the current trends globally, I think that's what you asked me initially, is that combining the wellness tourism with the conventional tourism. And that's what we also saw in the last presentation, excellent one by Brother Amin from Turkey, that it is combining the conventional medicine like surgery in various sectors along with the yoga centers and other centers and similar other activities where you can combine wellness. Traditionally, when medical tourism started, it used to be a combination of treatment come visits to the historical attractions. Now it has grown. And for Pakistan, again, we can provide very good attractive places like Swat and Hunza, where the longevity relating to the locals there and their health care through natural ways can be a model also to attract. Of course, one attraction is that our very good doctors, we have the Association of Pakistani Physicians in America, is contributing in the American medical healthcare system. There's no doubt about it. I just want to be very specific, point picking up from what Dr. Rahman said about branding Pakistan, and Mr. Qaim Khani gave also a good brand slogan. I would just add that, because I don't want to be repetitive, because of paucity of time, that we should involve more and more, and that is what Mr. Jinjua was interacting with me a few minutes back. We have to involve the tour operator right now into our medical tourism marketing strategy. That is a missing link. That is very important. There are very few at the moment, but the very fact identified earlier that in a year's time we had this is the third medical conference, that the awareness about medical tourism is growing. So we have to involve the tour operators so that it is packaged. We developed a brand, but it has to be packaged also, and that is where the role of the tour operator comes in. So we should have more involvement of tour operators. And I'll just end by saying that we have a very good geographical positioning, being in the vicinity of Central Asia, Gulf and South Asia. And we have got very good air links. Almost all the major airlines of the international airlines are connecting other than our own national carrier, PIA, Serene Air, Air Blue. But just he gave example of Turkish airline. It is connected with Islamabad, daily flights, Lahore twice a day, Karachi once a day. Qatar Airways, Emirates fly Dubai. So the connectivity is there. Yes, Dr. Rahman touched upon the visa or the facilitation part. Lately, and we have an example of Brother Amin giving that he didn't face any problem in acquiring an e-visa. That is thanks to these conferences and the lobbying that now visa upon arrival is available, e-visa available, but we are now trying through the Federation's committee and others through our border management authorities to have a separate category for medical visa. And he rightly said, as a student of tourism marketing, I have noticed that Turkey is really a model. Hats off, because when I accompanied the Minister of Tourism Pakistan to Turkey, and she asked the then Prime Minister that how you sell Turkey, you get that time. That's why I specifically asked you the number. You mentioned 2 million. That time it was 2 million of the general tourist. I'm so glad that medical tourism has grown so much. And his one reply was, the driver who picks up a tourist at the airport up to the Prime Minister of Turkey or the President, they're all salesmen of Turkey's tourism. So that is what the approach we need. Our geographical position, the quality of our doctors, and even the pricing factor, which is very important. Just now, we were exchanging views and Dr. Rahman said that now a new vista has opened of Bangladesh. We had the Afghanis coming, whether by compulsion or otherwise. We have next door now Iran, the Iranian Balochistan coming toward the Quetta side. But one more thing, while I'll sum up, is that we can sell a lot of halal medical tourism because we have that milieu we can offer, especially to the women medical tourists we try to attract from Gulf and Saudi Arabia, although they have very good facilities also. But rather than going to Europe, they would like to come if we develop the halal medical tourism here. That is one food for thought I'm leaving with you, Khaim Khani Sahab. And I remember that I was going to attend an Islamic medical tourism in Mashhad about 6-7 years back. Dr. Bari of Indus was with us. And during transit, we met a Pakistani, very good gynecologist, a male. And he was attending the female, although now Qatar has grown up very much. But that sort of, we have the product available, but we have to develop it. And I remember many years back, I was chairing a session and a very famous Pakistani cricket commentator, Mr. Umar Qureshi, a world known, an excellent speaker, he summed up on tourism of Pakistan potential and said, and I repeat, there is gold, but somebody has to mine it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Saman. As you said, rightly said that the market has opened for Pakistan, keeping in mind the political situation and the geographical location. We'll come to the readiness, and I'll go to Dr. Shafiqur Rahman. How Pakistani hospitals are ready? What steps needs to be taken to get in line with the benchmark that globally has been set for accreditation and patient experience?
Thank you. I think, as was mentioned earlier, accreditation has a lot to do with medical tourism, or any kind of tourism for that matter. We heard about the safety certificate that was introduced as a result of COVID, and it just highlights the importance whenever a patient chooses to travel to another country, they need to be able to trust. They will not be able to get the kind of local insights, they will not be able to determine what is an institution that they can really trust. And there's no alternative to accreditation. We can all debate about the different accreditation models that exist, the different labels that exist, but it's an absolute necessity. It's a foundational requirement if any country wishes to pursue medical tourism. There's a couple of points that I'd like to highlight. First and foremost, I think it all starts with the trust. It's accreditation, whether it's Joint Commission or Canadian, it does not create quality. It's basically a reflection of the quality that you have. You can have institutions that are following the highest standards of care, and accreditation just stamps a label on that and recognizes what you're doing. It cannot be the other way around. You cannot not have the systems on the ground. You cannot just there's no shortcut to it. The other thing that I've realized with regards to any kind of accreditation is it's usually not about doing one or two things right. It's not about one or two big things. It's doing about 100 small things right. And those are 100 or 1,000 small things that have to be done right again and again. Consistency is absolutely key. The other point I'd like to mention here that's related to accreditation is we could have world-class doctors, and we do have world-class doctors. And we have all the wonderful individuals that take part in the overall delivery of care. What we really need is developing systems, both at an institutional level and at a national level. When it comes to healthcare tourism, people will not come for RMI, they will not come for NovaCare, they will not come for AKU. First and foremost, they have to come for Pakistan. And once they're convinced, yes, within the country, then they will explore what is the best center for orthopedics or what is the best center for renal transplant. So we as a health system need to rise overall on a national level. I think that's fundamental, and that can only happen if we work in a collaborative manner rather than there's always going to be competition. I'm sure there's a lot of competition amongst those hospitals in Turkey to be right, and many other countries. But we have to rise above that. We have to determine how do we collaborate with each other. And the same goes for accreditation. Not all of our institutions can go for Joint Commission, but we've got the local standards. We need to focus on the local standards to uplift the healthcare system overall. They need to meet a minimum standard of care, and then above those minimum standards of care, you can always have different ratings and different levels that can be certified locally. Joint Commission or any other standard, it's no secret. You can go ahead and adopt all of those standards and get everything done. And what that plaque on the wall does is just identifying you or branding you as adhering to a certain tier. But you can enjoy all the benefits right now. And I'm sure when you compare 3 or 4 healthcare standards, there's not going to be a world of a difference. They will all be comparable. They will all be asking you to do the same things, documenting what you do, right? Just to close my comment, I feel it's really important to look at healthcare tourism or accreditation not with a viewpoint of 3 or 4 or 5 centers of excellence. We need to look at it at a national level. But the Pakistani healthcare system is much bigger than 4 or 5 healthcare providers. What can we as a community do to upgrade all of them? I feel there's no alternative but to focus and develop our local standards to ensure adherence to those local standards, create more transparency around the same, and most importantly, work on collaboration. I'm very grateful to Kamkhani Saab for finally encouraging us to just do it rather than keep talking about it. And I look forward to starting this journey of collaborating with each other and see how we can brand Pakistan as a medical tourism destination and work on, Heal in Pakistan being the slogan that we're working on. And I feel accreditation is going to be fundamental if we are to achieve those goals. Thank you.
Rightly said, Dr. Shafiq, and you said that 100 small thing needs to be perfected, and I believe Dr. Miraj is the one who has actually done it. And since Aga Khan is the one catering to medical tourism for a lot of years, so how could protocols, patient protocols, good governance can add value to credibility of Pakistan, and how Aga Khan managed to keep this mill running for a lot of Afghani patients? So Aga Khan has done that. So please share that.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I'm really grateful to be part of this esteemed discussion. And thank you for all the international and national speakers. You almost covered everything which anyone wants to learn about the medical tourism. In the context of the organization that I represent, the Aga Khan University and the University Hospital, my 2 cents, keeping the time short in view of it, my 2 cents in 2 minutes would be, this is the philosophy on which the Aga Khan University operates, and that is the vision of the Chancellor, right? And that is something which is the crux that can really facilitate medical tourism in the country. So let's go to the very basics, and that is the operating philosophy. First and foremost, what product we are talking about. We are trying to sell something outside the Pakistan, right? We want to attract customers. Just follow a simple principle. Whatever the product or service is, first of all, it has to be safe. It should not harm. If it harms, you are gone. Second, the service should be effective. Effectiveness has to do with the desired results. And when I say desired results, it means desired outcomes. And that is the definition which comes from the Institute of Medicine. Quality of care is the degree to which health services to populations and individuals increases the likelihood of desired health outcomes and consistent with current professional knowledge. It covers everything. So whatever we said, if you deliver safe care, effective, in an efficient way, Turkey does it differently, Thailand does it differently, Pakistan, Moscow does it differently, right? And that is how the cost comes. That's okay. And then of course, it has to be equitable. I mean, we can't offer a different standard of care for patients coming from Turkey compared to the patients coming from other countries. We have to be uniform. And last but not least, as you pointed out very rightly, trust is everything. If you do all these things, so Aga Khan University's vision aims towards that trust creation by the standards of care. So whatever we do, we believe that quality differentiates us. And even in the direction of the medical tourism, we are moving in the same direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miraj. As you said, trust. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Just a thought.
Closer
That as we touched upon earlier, and we saw Turkey's example Brother Amin gave, that Aga Khan University in Karachi is doing an excellent job. That since Aga Khan Rural Rewards Program is a big setup in northern areas, which could be a very good place to promote wellness tourism. So my humble suggestion is, you may take it from here as a message, that if you make a sort of a resort there in Hunza or even Skardu, which could combine the conventional medicine and wellness, that could be attractive for the medical tourists to attract them towards Pakistan. Thank you.
I have a humble contribution because my elder brother, can I have a voice here? Yeah. My elder brother said, talk about halal medical tourism. I am a Muslim, coming from a Muslim country, but my philosophy on the medical service is totally different. Because I see the medical services, it's a noble and something shouldn't be involved with religious. I believe the healthcare service are universal and should be treated not under halal medical travel. Tourism, halal tourism, that's something else, can be provided. Non-alcoholic resort, non-alcoholic service, that's fine. But when we come to holy service, which is healthcare service, is a holy service for humanity. So I am against to promote. Yes, we do. Look, we do receive so many Pakistani living abroad in Canada and America patients, or some other Muslim countries patients, especially ladies, they are requiring a lady gynecologist.
That's what I meant.
They require it, and we provide it. Something's very special. But if we promote the medical tourism under, halal medical tourism, we should not do it. That will be a great mistake to start with, because, as I said, this is holy work, holy service, and noble service. That's why we need to be universal, global, serving humanity under the ethical understanding. So that's my humble.
You have misunderstood me because his time is short.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'll
I just
go to
wanted
Mr.
to humble
Hans.
contribution.
I mean that just to have that, but as she rightly said, that
Yeah, there is specific demand.
in order to have a product differentiation, slightly product for that to cater to that segment, I was suggesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'll go to Mr. Hans, as he's, we all know him. He's been part of AKU, the reasons for all the changes. So, Mr. Hans, NovaCare is the first hospital that is probably developing a hospital innovatively or digitally. So how do you think technology and digital design could help better patient experience and help promote medical tourism? Keeping in mind you have a new hospital coming up, and if you have that medical tourism aspect thought of.
Yeah, I'll come back to that. But first, let me go back to last year's conference on medical tourism. That was a very disappointing session, to be honest. And if I compare that session with what is happening today, I must say this gives me much more confidence that we get anywhere.
Yes,
Because
that's
there is
absolutely right. Hands for that,
request for
please.
a collaboration. There is a clear commitment from the government, which will help to remove lots of hurdles. Now, coming back to the question of technology, will technology help to attract? Yeah, that's obvious. The story of Turkey teaches us that you have to bring technology into your service providing to attract people, because people are not stupid. Everybody looks at AI 10 years ago at Google. So if you don't have a robot, if you don't have your cyber knives available as a country, will not get there. More important than even technology is the trust factor. And I gave a talk yesterday on workforce and quality. We need to work together on elevating the quality of nursing, which is I think, a critical factor in what we want to achieve here. So I want to make a comment on that. So again, I'm very happy with what is happening today. Also, the point that collaboration between institutions in Pakistan is not quite common.
Yes.
Most of them are actually not liking one each other, and also creating internal cultures. Oh, these are the bad guys, and look at this, and we should stop doing this. If you want to sell shoes, you should open a shoe store next to another one. Both will sell more shoes.
Yes.
And that should be a principle of collaboration, which can be very productive. And finally, not everybody can do everything on the top level. So our Maria said, okay, choose your priorities, choose your centers of excellence, and coordinate them with all the other institutions. You do cardiology, I do oncology, or whatever choices we make, and put your money to make it really great. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to go. My team is calling upon me, so sorry, I run away now. So,
Thank you so much, Mr. Hans, for staying. I know you had to go, but you stayed for the session.
Before you leave, I want to congratulate you as a Dutch person coming to Pakistan and taking the initiative on investing 200-bed hospitals. So I believe the Prime Minister will value this and will give you a kind of government award for this initiative, because you will be the
Mashallah.
example and attractive for the other foreigners to come and invest in this country. Thank you for your trust for
Thank
Pakistan.
you, Mr. Hans. Thank you. So coming to the niche part, yes, we have Mr. Irfan Hilal. We all know Dream World Resort. And it's a good news that many people know that actually Dream World is jumping into medical tourism and has already jumped into medical tourism very heavily. And I would like Mr. Irfan to share his mission, his thoughts, because that would give us a way. We are trying to build, as Mr. Hans said, last year the medical tourism conference was not as good as it is today. We have all the dignitaries. Last year it was not. So we need your vision, your mission, so that we can build the ecosystem we are trying to build in Pakistan for medical tourism.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Huria. And actually, as far as the jumping into the medical tourism, or like Kaim Khani Saab rightly pointed out, it should be health tourism, the biggest space. We got pulled into this back in 2007, thanks to Dr. Zaki again. But back then it was an outbound tourism activity that we had indulged in with Dr. Zaki's organization. Now we're very strongly focusing on inbound tourism for Pakistan. And related to that, we had conducted a medical tourism event back in February also, when Dr. Farhat Abbas, the CEO of Khan, was there with us, a senior representative from Shaukat Khanum, Medas, all of us were there. And our vision or our focal points over here would be, like you said, ecosystems. We need to focus on our ecosystems. We need to break our silos. We need to work together. Like Ms. Maria rightly pointed out, that we do not need to reinvent the wheel. We just have to adjust the wheel, and that is exactly what we need to do. Maybe it was intentional, but I sort of noticed during Dr. Amin's presentation about the Turkey's ecosystem that resorts and hotels were at the third level as far as the ecosystem stakeholders are concerned. The first two were directly hospitals or clinics, and the third was resorts and hotels. When the list of the participants came up, resorts and hotels was at the second level. So that is how important hotels, resorts, or the stay places are in any health or medical tourism ecosystem. Why? Because it's not just the patient. The patient is extremely important. It is also the family. It is the anxiety that they carry with themselves. These are the areas that we can play a significant role. We may not be able to take away all the burden from the hospitals, or the pre-visit activities, or the coordination, or the documentation and everything. We may not be able to take away all the burden, but we can surely support you in that tremendously. We have to share the burden. We have to break silos. We have to collaborate. We have to work together. I was truly impressed by the whole presentation by Mr. Shafiq was very incredible. I'll refer to a couple of points in that. For example, I think you mentioned that you've placed a Japanese language newspaper in your hospital, and then you have trained your people, with certain language courses. So these are very small touch points, customer touch points that we all need. Hospitals understand them very well. Other hospitality operators, resorts and hotels, especially the higher end hotels and resorts, understand the importance of these touch points. Plus the cost, as far as the cost is concerned, the complete ecosystem's cost is very impactful. So we need to put all of this together. We need to come together. For this particular talk, Dr. Zaki was very insistent. He was very keen that the travel and tour operators representation should also be here. So we reached out to the Federation, and thank you, sir, that you agreed to participate in this conversation, because it is all about ecosystem. So that is what our focus is. We need to focus on ecosystems. We need to create the complete ecosystem together. Because if it is to be healed in Pakistan, then all of us have to contribute to it. Just one last quick point for me. We Pakistanis, or our culture, or our ecosystem already believes very strongly in nature-driven healing. We've always believed in that. massive areas of our country, the northern areas, and there are so many other options where that nature-focused healing already exists. So these are the things that we need to bring together and present to the world. And plus, just one last quick thing, being hotels and resorts, we already understand the importance of branding and how to do it right. So these are the roles that we can play, and that is what our vision is. That is why we are participating in this ecosystem so strongly, and we will persistently continue doing it, inshallah. Thank you so much.
So can we see a Dreamworld resort in Swat and Hunza in near future?
Dreamworld
With wellness and spa in mind.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I would have missed a very important point. Dreamworld had launched its hotel brand 3 years ago, and we already have 9 locations in various parts of the world, in various parts of the country. It includes Gilgit, it includes Khaplu, Murree, Bhurban, the Manora Island in Karachi, Peshawar. That's where we can perhaps, consider some sort of collaboration. So yes, we're already spreading out in various parts of the country. We're already there in 9 different locations, and this journey is ongoing, inshallah. Yeah.
So talking about patient experience, yes, please, sir.
Give one example on this subject. That I have some association with the All Pakistan Youth Hostels Association, and they established a youth hostel in Peshawar. And I asked them that, what is your occupancy rate? And they said it's pretty high. I was a bit surprised because at that time there were some problems in Peshawar. And I said, who are the people staying? They said, we are very close to Shaukat Khanum Cancer Hospital. And patients who are being treated there, their next of kins, they come and stay. So submitting to brother that, once you have hotels or maybe 3-star, 4-star, close to the hospital, like AQUH had this problem, and I always thought that in the National Stadium area of Karachi, next to your university, there's been a plot lying for hotel which Marshal Noor Khan, when he was our chairman, PIA, had got it. And again, we have at the expo here every year for the defense exhibition, people are coming, they are housed in PC and all the roads are closed. If there's a hospital created, established here, similarly, I'm just giving an example, food for thought for the audience, that helps a lot. Even a youth hostel is being helped in its increasing occupancy. Thank you so much.
So just
It's working.
So just 2 quick things to that. One, it's not just the family. The family is, of course, very important, or the attendants are very important. Plus, certain kind of treatments in the hospitals, certain kind of surgeries or certain kind of treatments I believe, do not require very intense post-treatment care. So that can also be carried out at the hotel or the resort. One. Yes. Number 2, we must not forget, we must continue talking about wellness also.
Yes.
That can be an incredibly big thing in Pakistan. Incredibly big. We must continue talking about wellness. So it's not just curative care, there are so many other areas also in caretaking. That is where resorts or hotels in certain parts of our country can contribute tremendously to this ecosystem.
I met a lot of Australians. They say that for their post-operative period, they come to Sri Lanka and they hire small houses because the houses are cheap. The nursing care is cheap. And they stay there for weeks. So what I was trying to submit was to the distinguished panel that accommodations availability makes a lot of difference. In the last meeting we had at the Islamic Chamber, I cited an example.
To confirm your words, the success of Bangkok Hospital when they started 30 years ago.
Sorry?
The success of Bangkok hospitals when
Yeah.
they started 30 years ago, they just built next door a residential building
Yes.
to accommodate their patient. And I mean, first time I have seen 20 years ago when I
Yes.
visited them, that there is an integration. And there were another service, concierge service by the Bangkok Hospital was given from 21 other hotels. They were doing daily basis, morning and afternoon free shuttles, which is turning picking up the guests from the hotels,
This-
bringing to the hospital.
this
From the
is what-
hospital was the free shuttles between the hotels and accommodation.
Yeah, that is added
it
to
was
my knowledge.
very
Your
important integration,
Your
yeah.
statement is added to my knowledge. And this is what
I confirm what
I
you
was
say.
stressing. And last time I gave an example of a friend of mine. He passed away. He was suffering from gum cancer, and he called John Hopkins. And they said that, why do you have to come here? Go next door to our neighbors who refused even to shake hands with us at cricket ground. So he called them, and he called their High Commission here, and he said, and that's what Dr. Rahman was saying about the branding part, that how they have branded. He said, the moment I told the telephone operator that I'm calling to seek a medical visa, he said within seconds he was connected to the visa consular, specially earmarked for that. And from the word go, when he landed, the ground staff took them immediately to a separate immigration counter for the medical visa holder. And that's what you do, I think, also in Turkey.
Which is this is exist in India.
Yeah.
When you come to India,
I
for
didn't name
example,
it.
there is
Yes.
there is a special contour for the medical travelers.
Yeah, this is.
I have seen that in
That's what I'm referring to. And then he said his son was shifted by transport to a nearby hotel, and he was shifted to the hospital. And the medical specialists, who are very busy, came at that moment and said, this is my mobile number, and I'll be within the reach of your cell phone 24/7. Thank you. This is how you package it and brand it.
right.
Thank you, sir. Talking about patient experiences and branding, so Ms. Aijen, we would like to know that post-pandemic, how has patient expectations changed? And how can, in Pakistan's perspective, Pakistan can build a trustworthy patient experience for the global patients?
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I don't want to take much of your time. I know, I imagine that everyone is hungry and maybe a little bit tired. I'd like to emphasize 2 points concerning the post-pandemic issue. First of all, in Turkey, we thought that the masks were used by only surgeons or the Japanese tourists who come to Turkey if they are not feeling comfortable. But then, during pandemic, we all used those masks. So I think sensitivity in terms of infectious diseases is so high now for everyone. And I believe that in hospitals now there is a new way of working in terms of informing the patients for their safety. And I think that makes a difference. And plus, of course, distant consultations, let's say online consultations, is so important now. After pandemic, we all started to use Zoom. I didn't know about Zoom. I didn't know anything about Zoom. But now all our meetings are on Zoom or Teams or anything else. So I think we are getting used to live in the new world. But I will come back to the old topic of trust. Combining your last question about Pakistan's role. I think trust is the key. If you would ask me if you have only one right to name one topic, this is trust. Because I wouldn't trust anyone that I don't touch myself, maybe shake hands or see face to face. Because no matter how much AI or robotic surgery and robots, everything will be included in life, in daily life, I don't believe that it will make the same significance that the personal touch, human touch would make. So as Healthy in Turkey, what we try to do is actually to feel, make them feel as if they're in their homes. Because I can understand very well that our patients come from Sub-Saharan Africa. We have so many different cultures, and the Turkish culture is quite different than Sub-Saharan African countries, unlike Pakistani and Turkish cultures. So what we try to do is that I want them to feel as if they're home, and we rent houses for them to stay, as Sir you had just mentioned. And I think that makes a difference. And what I would recommend, maybe my humble recommendation for Pakistan as well, my Pakistani sisters and brothers, to make them feel like princes and princesses, because everyone wants to get some special attention.
Not for everyone. That's not for all the patients.
This is-
Patients will be flipped out from that hospitality.
No, this is something else. No, this is something else. While they are here, I have to make them feel as if they are very special. Okay, this is my point of view. This is my point of view. And by the way, I'd like to add one more thing that Mr. Chakmak has said. We are the nation, two nations, Pakistan and Turkey. We are the two nations and children of both great leaders, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And you know, I am from Ankara, and the main boulevard is called Atatürk Boulevard. And the continuation of that boulevard is Jinnah Road. So we are brothers and sisters, I believe, and this is very important for you to benefit from our experience, because we have been there. And one more small story to end. When I'm talking about touching the people's lives, 2 years ago we had a patient. We have this Cameroonian young couple who were trying to get pregnant, and they somehow found me. And it's a very young couple, but they have been trying for 7 years. So that the first trial, we had the baby, and during the pregnancy, they were telling me, okay, Petit Aygen, my first name is Aygen, Petit Aygen is on the way. She's 2 months old and everything. I thought that they were kidding. But then when they showed me the passport, I saw the first name was Aygen. So they named the baby after me, and they asked me to be the godmother. You know, as Muslims, we don't have that tradition, but I am now the godmother of a 2-year Cameroonian baby girl. She's very beautiful, and you know, now she has 2 newcomers, twin sisters. They are always born in Turkey. So I care a lot about this, special care, special attention, and the human touch. That would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aygen, and I'll continue with what you said, that Pakistan should take from Turkey, and I'll go back to Mr. Amin for that. Your policies, your governance, have you engaged Turkish Airlines, the visa, because we have witnessed it ourselves. We have sent patients to Turkey, how hospitals are involved, how hotels are involved, how taxi people are involved, how Turkish Airlines helps us get tickets sooner, waits for us if we are getting late, and that has happened. Turkish Airlines has specially waited for us. Visas, we are getting visas in 2 days. It's an ecosystem that's working together. What can Pakistan adapt, and what can Pakistan learn to build this ecosystem like that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me tell you that the journey is not easy journey. I have faced in my country a lot of difficulties to achieve to this point, but I never give up. I never give up. So when I started my journey, Turkish Airlines does not know, and the government does not know. The medical institution, when I went to the Memorial Hospital owner to first visit in 2005, telling him that I want to bring a foreign patient to your hospital, he said that, my son, we cannot do it, sorry. This is not possible. We don't have language-speaking people. We are just receiving Turkish people, and we don't have that potential. And I said, I need only 1 floor of your hospital to allocate and to transfer your English-speaking nurses there, to allocate English-speaking doctors, and I will bring the other different native language speaking from the translator to integrate and to receive the patients. So I convinced him. It was not easy. And I convinced 1, 2, 3, 5 hospitals in the beginning. So in Istanbul, in order to start this journey, today, in this hospital, in these 5 hospitals, there were just 1 branch or 1 block. They become like 10, 20, 50 branches due to the cash flow, hot money, foreign currency coming from the abroad, from the international patient. Today, these hospitals are speaking 42 different languages. And you need to be ready for that. Not only English speaking. You have a great advantage that everybody speaks English. Taxi drivers speak English. You have that advantage. We don't have that advantage, unfortunately. But you have that advantage that everybody speaks English, but it's not enough. You need to have Arabic-speaking person, Russian-speaking person, Ukrainian-speaking person. When you come to Turkey, you will find a Russian citizen, a Ukrainian citizen, Romanian citizen, Bulgarian citizen personnel are working in the hospital, in the operation, taking care of the patient by his native language and by his culture. Because different culture, different habit of foods, different habit of life. We are organizing every year a cultural integration workshop in our hospitals. And we are dressing different kind of dresses. We are cooking different kind of cuisines in order to integrate our doctors, our nurses for a different culture, for a different look like. I mean, so there is Muslim people, there is Christian people. In our main hospitals, you will find in underground 3 praying locations: mosque, synagogue, and the church. People can go and can pray in there next to each other. 3 doors, 1 synagogue, 1 mosque, and 1 church. So we provide all this, services together, beside of accommodation, beside of transportation, beside of free transport from airport. Today, when you come to the Istanbul airport, you will find all hospitals branch offices in the airport on the arrival hall, that picking up and receiving their lunch, special lunch, waiting lunch, to make a greet and meet with their patient in the airport, starting the hospitality from the airport till the airport, the company. So I face a lot of difficulties. Today's president, he was a prime minister. When I knock his door 2008, I take an appointment and I visit him in his Istanbul office in Dolmabahce Palace. I talked to him about medical tourism. He told me, why are you not talking about thermal tourism? We have a lot of resources. I said, yes, I do that, long time. I started with thermal tourism, but today the trend is on medical tourism. I need your support. I need your financial support. He couldn't convince. He couldn't convince. And we end up with no result. And 2 years later, I knock again his door in 2010. I said, Mr. Prime Minister, today we are receiving 300,000 patients, $3 billion contribution. So I need incentive and support for this industry in order that I can achieve 5 billion, 10 billion, 20 billion. I went with figure because the politics, they are looking for the figures. So I went with figures. He picked up the phone. He said, connect me to the economy minister, Zafer Çağlayan. And they connect him. While I'm sitting, he said, my brother Emin, we're going to come to you. You're going to sit down and talk about how you are going to support medical tourism. And it was not easy. I was running after this minister, get the instruction by the prime minister, the instruction by the prime minister, which is when the prime minister giving an instruction, he asks you second time, it's happened. If it has not happened, the minister not sitting in that place. So he's very sharp. So I ran after him. I flew with him, with the minister, talking to him till 2011. And then 2012, I managed, after 2 years of pushing, I get my incentive. It was not easy. And when I come to Turkish Airlines, the chairman, the past chairman, in 2007, the first travel to USA, we have to go together with our industry. I asked him ticket support for my industrial people, like 20 free tickets. There's no, we don't have such tradition. We give you, why? We have to give you 20 free tickets to Los Angeles. I said, because I'm going there to do marketing, to increase the potential of your passenger, and you are going to get more passengers when I have do the marketing, but you need to help me. So then he said, yes, of course, we will do it. And he said, how many business class and economy class you want? I said, I have 4 professor rectors, university rectors coming with me. I need 4 business class. The rest can be in economy, including myself. So I get 20 tickets for business, first tickets, and 16 economy. And he said, I will going to join myself and to see this industry. He came all the way, the chairman, with us. He joined it. He came all the way. He attended to the conference. He understood. On the way back, he upgraded to the business next to him. He said, what do you want from me? He's seen the potential. I said, I want from you 20% discount from the rate, normal rate, and I want second bag free for the patient because coming for a long stay, and I want free of charge changing the date of the travel because they may stay longer and they have to change. He said, you get it. So it was not easy. Long journey, difficult, but I never give up. I fight. You know, my minister, which I announced his name, the Minister of Health, I was running for an event in Moscow, in Meet Moscow, the big tourism event. We are opening up our stand. I'm on the airport running, and I made one interview with the journalist in Sabah, newspaper, announced. It was 2015, saying that Turkey received 500,000 patients, $5 billion of income. And he called me, he said, Mr. Chakmak, I forbid you to announce this figure. I said, why? He said, because you are encouraging all my doctors to move from the government hospital to the private hospital. How I am going to treat my citizens? Don't announce it. He forbid me to announce the numbers and figures because he doesn't want to lose his public service. So we face a lot of difficulties, a lot of things on barrier, but we over. We don't give up, and we stay, and we succeed.
So the lesson is, we don't stop, we go, and we keep on trying. And you talked about numbers, and who better person than Mr. Qaim Khani to talk about numbers. So I would request you, sir, to please give the closing remarks and close the session. After that, we'll all join here for the shields.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aigan. We have the most beautiful road in Pakistan after Ataturk Avenue in Islamabad. If you've been there, have a look at it. And second thing, we need to learn the marketing, my friends. The Hans said, the last year event was disappointing. My smart host said, yes, it was not as good. We should say, Alhamdulillah, this year's event is even better. And the Pakistan Health Tourism Council also created. हम उर्दू में कहते हैं कि अपने दही को खुद खट्टा ना कीजिए. We should be doing marketing about our hospitals, doctors, government, country, society. Then only we can bring the strangers or to other people to us. Third thing, as Irfan was mentioning, health. Believe me, any kind of tourism except the one where wives take to the husbands to the bazaar for shopping, every kind of tourism in the world is always related with the health. It only depends, medical tourism for the body, spiritual tourism, which is called religious tourism for the soul, and the mental tourism for which we go Hansa, we go Vienna, we go XYZ, just to cure the anxiety and depression and boringness and hecticness. It's all about the health tourism. Every tourism is a health tourism, believe me. These are just different aspects and different slices. And agree. Only thing, yes. And as rightly says, there is no halal, there is no haram. Preferences should be given to the patient, as rightly said, the sir. Everybody has a right to claim for a ladies gynecologist, ladies surgeon, man surgeon, because we have our own contradictions in Pakistan as well and rest of the Muslim countries. Sometimes we get mean and difficult when we say, oh, this is the mosque for the different kind of the sect of the Muslim people. But when we go to a pub, when we go to a shopping center, we never put, oh no, this is not for this sect or this is not for that sect. just need not to engage in these things. It's a human tourism, it's a health tourism, and I said, let's do it. We learn a lot from Eman, from our friend Maria, and for the rest of all colleagues, and we understand this is a difficult journey, but we have to start it. So the difficulty, as Rumi says, start the journey, and the way will emerge. Thank you.
Just one more point I want to say.
One minute.
Just give me 1 minute. Before I forget, my
yes.
grandbrother, I am younger brother, I need to speak first.
No,
You know, that is our culture.
No, you are
Younger brothers.
You are younger. You see, twice this point have been raised by Honorable Qaim Khan. I think I have been misunderstood. There are various segments in tourism, and you may agree with me or not. I am a student of tourism.
No, there is halal tourism.
Halal tourism is
There
a
is
segment,
a
and
big
I
segment.
didn't mean any discrimination. But in order to attract those people, like ladies or somebody who want to be in that environment, that's why I suggested. I never meant you or you. Maybe you are thinking that
No,
I'm being
totally I agree.
sectarian or narrow-minded. No, but that is a product. Even in Dubai, you go and see halal hotels, and even non-Muslims are staying there. So this is what the point was. So, sorry, I had to.
No, yeah, I agree.
No.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The last contribution. When I gathered in 2005 all the industry stakeholders, the major hospital like Acıbadem, Memorial, Florence Nightingale, they raised a question. They said, okay, after creation of the council, how we are going to share the patient? We are all competitors. This question is going to come to you as well when you call them next meeting. How we are all competitors, how we are going to share the potential. What I said to them today, I said, we have a small cake, not enough for all of us. But we need to collaborate, put our efforts financially, human resource, and we have to collaborate, we have to work together to make it bigger, to cook bigger cake. Then when we share, everybody will be enjoyed. So this is going to need to be taken care of.
Thank you so much. I would request everyone to please come on the stage. So.